Welcome to episode 5. Yeah, episode 5 of the Iron Podcast. What are we talking about, huh?
I think today's topic is first-person shooters.
Should be fun. First-person shooters in general. Fuck it, whatever. We'll talk about, shooting shit. I will say I just saw a YouTube video today. Guess what?
What happened? What?
They just announced a new Gears of War that's supposed to come out this year.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I need to catch up. I played 4. I know for a fact. Don't remember much about it though. But 4 and 5, I have not really played. Because that should be the 6th one, I think, right?
Fuck if I know, dude. Like, I'm the same way, right? I'm so behind on shooters because of my MMOs, but
I mean, much like Marcus, and I'm getting pretty old, right? Like, we're starting to get into that group, so like, they phased us out, man. I don't know much about the new breed.
Yeah, like, I know that. So it's supposed to be a prequel, which is going to be pretty cool. And it's supposed to be when it's called E-Day, I think. When
okay.
Yeah,
nice.
when
Going back to the roots of it.
Yeah, when they first experienced the locusts.
No, I mean that should be awesome, yeah. Because I think in the original game they were alluding to that a lot, yeah.
Yeah, and then it's like I want to say it's Marcus and Dom. It's pretty much when they solidified their
like when they met and stuff.
like their
man.
friendship and everything. Oh yeah.
Dude, if they do that, man, it's gonna be amazing. 100% on board with that.
Yeah,
But yeah, if they do it right, man, I'm pretty excited about that now.
Yeah, let's see here. Here's a war. Yep, here's a war E-Day. That's what it's called.
Hell yeah! They got a release date yet, or is that just a announcement?
They have an announcement. Oh fuck, what's Steam say? Coming soon.
Soon.
There we go. Release
All right,
date.
everybody.
It
All right,
says
everybody, you heard it
maybe
here first. Coming out 2035.
Yeah, 2025, 2026.
No, I was kidding.
And it's supposed to be on Xbox and PC. Yeah, so it's I'm probably gonna think, just because of this, it's probably gonna be 2026 towards the end of the year, because it's either that or they're gonna do something else. But Gears of War's 20th anniversary is in November 2026, so why not bring out E-Day?
I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah.
I think that'd be a great idea. Not gonna lie. Because it would definitely, I've been thinking about, like the original games are always great. I haven't been through them in a while, but, they were pretty good. At least I remember them fondly, right?
Yeah.
The lens of nostalgia is strong, but.
So, yep, so that's coming out, I saw, which, that should be fun.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think one thing we should really do here and start with is like, so where, like, all right, first-person shooters, all right, like, so where'd you really first sink your teeth into them? You know what I mean? Like, where'd you really start to notice them? Like, what was the first game you can remember playing them? Like playing
a shooter?
Yeah, like that was an FPS, yeah.
The first one I got my hands on was when I was a little kid, and that was 007 GoldenEye on the N64.
Oh, yeah, GoldenEye.
Yeah,
good old GoldenEye.
I feel like I feel like kids in the early 90s, I want to say that's like that's the start of like the FPS. I don't remember any other like shooters.
It was one of the best ones. I mean, it was one of the ones that encapsulated I think the couch co-op mentality, right? Like the split screen and all that stuff, because it was such a fun game. I mean, trying to play it now, it's janky as hell. Like, trust me, I went and tried. Like, that whole having to use the 4 buttons to look is kind of broken. But, you know, at the time, it was amazing. You know, golden gun running and all that with your buddies.
Golden gun or a fucking four-person mode, split screen with big head paintball mode.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that was some of the best. Just like, you know, it was like, you know, that was one great thing about the N64 back then was, you know, the party games in general, you know. Yeah,
that was Nintendo's thing, right? And kind of still is. Like, Nintendo's still out there pushing Mario Party, all that stuff. So
yeah, I mean, I think it might be because, you know, who knows? It might be me and all that, but I do feel like maybe it is me. Maybe the games were always that way and I never noticed, but the newer ones just feel like they don't function the way I remember them, right?
Oh, they do. They are like, if you go back and play the Mario Party on the N64, it's the fact that, like, the problem is that nowadays, like, we used to play that with a group of friends that came over because that's all you did. You had no internet and stuff. And now it's like, how do you play Mario Party? You get drunk.
Right. I can see that.
It's a party game. Like, and the older you get, the more it's like,
you know, why fight over Monopoly when we can fight over Super Smash Brothers?
Yeah,
right?
and just be drunk as hell. Yeah.
But now that makes sense. But yeah, so GoldenEye, right? Getting back to the subject of FPS.
That was probably number one.
I think same for me. Like, that was around the same time, and I also remember Time Splitters 2, right, for the PlayStation 2, like I'm pretty sure that was later, but that was another great game. I don't know if you ever played
later.
Yeah, definitely later, right? PS2.
Yeah, PS2. Yeah, you skipped a few.
A generation later, you know, no big deal.
It's like I'm pretty sure we had a GameCube.
But yeah, I missed
at the same time as PS2.
Sure. Yeah, that's true. But man, GameCube though, that was fun too.
But like,
you remember Turok?
I do remember Turok. I do. I didn't play much, but because like, you gotta think. So like, I'm talking like, if I was playing N64 and I was playing GoldenEye, you gotta think I was still in Virginia when I lived there the first time, like when I was born there and stuff. And so like, I watched people and I played it with people at daycare. I was in 2nd grade when it came out. Like, I was playing, that's when I started playing like GoldenEye. I was in 2nd grade. So like, I would watch people play Turok, but dude, as a kid, I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. I was just happy to watch people. I was just like, yeah, you know what, I'll watch them, we'll see. Yeah, like, when was Turok released?
The original one, I don't know, but it was like, that was one of those series I can remember playing, and yeah, I played a few games actually, because you mentioned GameCube, and I was like, oh yeah, I remember playing one on the GameCube a while back, or you know,
there's
way back.
No way. There we go. Turok release date N64, because yeah, there you go. Turok Dinosaur Hunter released in 1997.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Doom was still first though, right? Doom was number 1. Because I think that was 96. First FPS?
93. Yep, came out in 93.
Damn, 93?
Yeah, 1993. Ooh. A year after I was born.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, I was too young for the original Doom.
Yeah, I didn't play Doom at all. Like, I think I played Doom once in my life, and just
I've been
not
back
a
to
big
play
fan.
it since. It's
still
like a solid game.
It's funny because, right, like, they even talk about it, right? Like, people, like, games nowadays that release like Doom, you want to know what they call them?
I think there's terms like boomer shooter.
Boomer shooter. Yep.
but it's not for the same reason you think though. It's because you're fucking moving around. It's just same thing with like Quake and all that, or not Quake, but like Unreal Tournament, right? That's a boomer shooter because it's fast paced, fucking high octane kind of action, right? At least that's how I took it. But it's like I said, because like people are still making those games today, right? And they're still very popular. People like that kind of game. Like it still holds up because it follows the same formula, right? It's just not a smooth FPS, right, by any means. But some of the modern iterations on them are actually really good.
So just like off the search, like the first, like just a real quick search. The term boomer shooter refers to the style first-person shooter video game that heavily draws inspiration from the classic 90s FPS titles like Doom and Quake, essentially considered old school by today's standards, and is named so because boomer is slang for someone from the baby boomer generation who would have primarily played the game. Nope, it is legitimately from different sources. It is a nod to the older generation of when they were adults or young adults playing this game when it came out, which would be boomers.
Yeah, well, whatever. I just don't think it's a fair way of playing it, but like, I don't know, the reason I say it's not cool is because you even say yourself like, nah man, those games fucking suck, and that's not true at all. Just because they're old doesn't mean they suck, you know what I mean? Like, just because it's not new does not mean it's not good.
Right. But I think the thing is
the market nowadays.
Well, I think it's like, I don't think people take it that way in the gaming, right? I think it just, like it says, it is a homage or whatever to the old school style games, that new games that are getting developed pretty much are made in the classic, so it's
like you can't get an RPG nowadays, right, without getting a fucking old school RPG, because no one makes them like that anymore. It's not actually a JRPG, it's an action RPG, like Final Fantasy's transformed from turn-based, old school as they would call it now. And the only reason that it's classified that way is because no one's making them anymore, except for the indie developers that are trying to quote-unquote retrofy it, right? And that's just because it's old. You know what I mean?
We'll look at
like records are retro, but that's only because it's an older technology, right? But
look at Star Rail.
It's still very collectible and still very badass,
See, I don't know. I think the reason why they call it a boomer shooter is because the new boomer shooters because I forgot there was one that just came out, right? And people were loving it. And I think it's a Warhammer one, right? And the reason why they're calling it boomer shooters is because it's legitimately plays like Doom, graphics and all.
Well, I mean, that's like, I was just saying, like, I want to put it out there in case anybody does take it that way. That might be listening or whatever. Like, I'm sure people aren't, but it's kind of like a Souls-like, right? It's just a genre of game nowadays, and it's a way to separate, break down FPS, which is a very broad term, to categorize types of FPS, right?
Right,
it's just because you're a fan of like Battlefield doesn't mean you would enjoy fucking, like something else, right?
And that's the problem, right? Is that like we don't even you can't even say FPS that much anymore, because like there's so many shooters that are third person now and everything else. And that's what I was getting as like even like with term there's still games going out there with turn-based, like old school Final Fantasy and stuff. And like I said, and I don't think the definition of it is for gaming anyways, right? Deems it to be bad. I think it's just to pay
it's just to remind us all that we're getting fucking old.
it's the pay to respect of the old school style that it used to be, because the sad part is like no matter what we look at it, that is an old school style game, right? Games usually aren't played like that anymore. Well, and they're old,
you know what it is though, right?
They have to have their own genre because
nobody
nowadays
has the patience anymore.
Well, it's not even that. I don't even think it's like the patience. Because look how brutal and long Cuphead was when it released, and people fucking love it. Look at Elden Ring. Millions of people love that game, and it is not forgiving.
Well, I was still thinking about RPGs, not gonna lie, but I'm saying it's a trend though. Generally, I think with like the younger generations, like, and you got to think about the way they market stuff in general. I mean, we've talked about it broadly.
I don't even know anymore. I showed you the new Battlefield fucking montage.
Well, sure, that's fine.
They might be going old school, or they might be going back. I want to say old school. They might be going back to original, just boots on ground combat.
Yeah, I mean, I'm judging it based on what I saw, like the way it looked. It reminded me a lot of Battlefield 2, right? Like captured that kind of aesthetic, which is why I was kind of like, hell yeah, this is kind of cool. And it also reminded me of, you know, like the original Call of Duty Modern Warfare. Right. You know, whenever they went into, whenever they were in the Middle East over there and all that, you know, for the first time.
I feel
like Modern
bad
Warfare 2 and
for
stuff,
Modern Warfare because the problem is like, I love that game. I loved playing it. It was amazing. It was one of the best Call of Duties I've ever played, right?
Okay, but why do you feel bad about it?
Because then they re-released it. Pretty much updated graphics, but re-released it, and it flopped. No one played it.
I mean, here's the thing. Activision fucked up the brand. It had nothing to do with the game being like. Here's the thing. It depends on how you look at it, right? Because most people judge Call of Duty because of the multiplayer.
No. I'm not talking about the new like rebranding of the Modern Warfare 1, 2, 3 that they just did. I'm talking about they remastered Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare, and people did not play it.
Well, you know why?
Even though they were asking for
the
it.
Reason. Yeah, well, here's the reason they did it is because I was one of the people that wanted the fucking remasters, all right? And Activision scummy because they knew that they had ruined the reputation with people with a lot of the games during that time. I think from like Ghosts to freaking Infinite, right? Like, you know, and between those two is just a bad time, and nobody wanted to play Infinite. Or, you know, or no one was looking forward to Infinite because they had fumbled a couple games prior to that, and everybody was like, you know, screw
Infinite
you.
Was Treyarch, wasn't it?
And I can't, no, because here's the thing. I'm not blaming the developers. I blame the publisher, because Activision's the one that did it. What they did is they bundled. The only way you could access the remasters of the original games was by purchasing the new Call of Duty at the time, which I believe was Infinite. And that pissed me off and a lot of other people off, which is why it quote-unquote flopped, because by the time they finally got around to releasing it, no one gave a shit, right?
I wonder how many people are still playing Remastered, because I'll fucking pick that shit up and play it again, dude. That is a true blessing. Let's see. On Steam. Let's see. COD 4 Remastered. Fuck, I don't even know if view page. Is there a valid date, motherfucker? Okay, 1948. How about that?
But no, I just, you know, it's just one of those things. I don't feel bad because it's like people still remember it fondly.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think I did end up picking it up at one point. I ran through them, you know, just for old time's sake. Like, it's still pretty good. The only thing I do gotta say is like the new, my personal take on the new trilogy. Like the first game, I enjoyed a lot, right? Like whenever they modernized it, the first one in the thing, like I thought it was pretty solid. Like the campaign, anyway, right? I'm judging it strictly on the campaign. Multiplayer was fun too, but I mean, I don't remember as much about that. That's a whole different animal, though. But I just feel like, you know, it started off real strong. 2 was, I thought, really good. Like, thought they nailed it with the campaign. Everything was great. And then, you know, on launch, it was pretty fun. 3, it's like, I don't know, or no, wait, was it, which one was it when they did No Russian? Do you remember? Was that the newest one? I think it was 3, wasn't it?
What do you mean No Russian?
Makarov? You remember in the original trilogy, whenever they had you the No Russian mission in Modern Warfare 2?
You gotta explain it, bro. I got brain damage. What's up?
Oh, it was the airport mission, all right? So you were sitting there and you were playing as Makarov.
Dude, I think that was
like one of the main plots.
I think that was 2, bro.
Yeah, like one of the main plot points is Makarov went in there and shot up the airport to try to blame the Russians. Yeah.
And you can't fucking, like, holy shit.
Or to try
like,
to blame somebody else, yeah.
Dude, that shit was insane. Damn, dude, never mind. All right, last 30 days, there's only been 46 players playing Modern Warfare Remastered. But then again, it's also probably because, dude, Black Ops, like the new Black Ops is actually, Treyarch killed it. They did a great job. Good for them.
Well, and you also got to think too. It's like it is natural because it happens to everybody. Where it's like I got more games, right? Like no time to play games, right? And that's the thing. A lot of people don't have as much time, so it's like anymore. Of course, they're gonna put time into newer stuff because they're trying them out and doing all that stuff too. So it's like naturally it's gonna taper off. It's like every now and again you're gonna jump in there and you're gonna play it, but it is not the new hotness, right? It is. There's a lot of other, it's an oversaturated genre by far. There's a lot of options out there.
There's a lot of other shit you can do. I will say though is that you go to Battlefield 4 and you're finding people still. You're still finding.
Well, I mean that's true. Like I said, that's
but then again,
probably
it's
true
because DICE
games.
and them fucked their game in the ass hard.
Yeah, it says something whenever you have to go back to Battlefield 4 to get a,
at
least whenever you had
game.
to for the longest time. Yeah, exactly.
And I won't show 2042 anymore. I've been playing that lately, and it's finally gotten the Call of Duty or the Battlefield feel. The only thing is they designed the game. There's one thing they couldn't fix entirely. They brought the whole like medic, scout, all that stuff, engineer back, which was great. Everybody wanted that. But since they already laid the foundations when they first came out with like the hero type shit, you know what I mean, like the not hero, my bad, specialist type shit,
like
right?
The characters versus the actual classes.
You kind of like you were kind of fucked in the beginning, right? Because like it was either just drive on, continue on what they were doing, or they completely just fucking stop everything, kill the game, and then start working on a new game. So I think they did what they could, the only way they could. I think they did it great, right? Like how they're doing it and everything else. I think they're doing pretty good on it. I'm enjoying it. You saw me. There's fucking hardcore maps finally. They have the portal, dude. Oh, going back to like 1942 and like Battlefield 3 games and maps and stuff is really cool.
Yeah, I mean, what I saw of it was actually pretty interesting. Haven't played it myself, but yeah, watching it the other day, it was pretty. I mean, I'm glad to see that they gave, they brought it back. Like they didn't just abandon it, right? Because they could have. They could have just cut and run like most,
100%.
like most of the time nowadays. Like, oh well, we'll do better next year, right? Like, and that's just seems to be the attitude in the, that's been set now, But yeah, it's nice to see that they actually, made it look fun.
Oh yeah.
Like, yeah, it seems like it might be worth checking out, especially if it goes on sale. Like I've been seeing it, going on sale lately. So
here you go. So Call of Duty, right, which is the newest one is Black Ops 6, right? Because the servers themselves are just Call of Duty now, right? Well, for the newer ones. So you got Call of Duty. They have 52,000 people online right now. Black Ops 3 has 4,000. And then, like Modern Warfare has 770. Black Ops Cold War still has 646 people playing it. Dude, World at War has 452 people playing it right now.
Yeah, you know what it probably is, right? It's probably zombies. It's probably classic zombies with World of War. That was, I gotta say, it was probably the most fun I ever had.
I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan.
I didn't like it whenever, like, see, here's the thing, right? Like, and it's probably not a popular opinion, but there was a certain point where it was like, okay, zombies started off simple, right? Where it was like, okay, you're in a building, you got some locked doors, you can explore a little bit, but there's a loop, you can kind of just like kite them around. It's all about kiting the zombies around. It was the raw base gameplay, right? And it was quicker that way because it was like, okay, you're dying faster and you're in it and you're just playing more. And it wasn't as devastating if you died at like wave 20. But whenever they started adding in the story stuff, and they started putting in like this whole map, and it's like, all right, I remember playing it with a couple people, and it was like we spent 3 hours or like 2 hours progressing in this map, doing all this stuff, getting a wave, whatever, and then right at the end, one of them dropped during the boss, and I'm sitting there holding, we're trying to pick him up, and the other one died, and then I got killed, and it was like, all right, cool. Well, let's run it again. I'm like, no, I'm good. No. I'm all right. Thank you. Like, that was enough for me. Like, we're okay.
I heard, like, so, like, the newer ones I've heard, like, this newest one I've heard is really good and everything else. It's just, like I said, like, I I just wasn't a big fan of the whole zombies, Call of Duty zombies. I've never have been, because I didn't play the game for zombies, right? I played the game for the campaign and then the multiplayer. So like zombies never really got it. And then like you said, like the first time I played zombies with a friend it was just like all of us split screen, just fucking on a huge TV, just playing it. And it's like, oh, we're dead. It's like, okay, cool. We got to like say like round 6, right? Awesome. What's next? And they're like, oh, well, we failed, so we go again. Well, what's the point? To see how far you can get. I'm like, no, I'm gonna go level up in prestige. I'm good. I'm going online, dude. This is not me at all. I'm
right.
good.
Like I always resonate towards the multiplayer myself, man. Yeah. Like I don't know. At this point, I guess you could say I'm a little dormant, retired. I guess I'm not really like into them as much, but I used to freaking play them constantly, and like Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare, just Modern Warfare Original. Like when those things were launching, man, I was. Black Ops, the original Black Ops. I loved the freaking optics in that. I think it was the first time they added like the smiley face and stuff.
It's funny because it's like, oh, I totally forgot they came out with that one. We'll just keep that one quiet. Modern Warfare Remastered 2017, right? It has 98 people playing right now. But then you scroll up, and Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare 2007 has 295 people. That's what I'm saying. It's like it was the same fucking game.
So you gotta explain. I mean, they have been pretty similar, yeah, of course. I mean,
no. This is like I'm saying, it's the remastered one, the one that they remastered in 2017, Call of Duty Modern Warfare, which was the remastered version of Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare, has only 98 people playing it right now. But yet, the original Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare 2007 version, the original. It still has 295 people playing it.
Yeah.
And then so then Modern Warfare 3, the one that just came out prior to the Black Ops, there's still like 2,400 people playing that game. So you're still gonna get queued into fucking servers really well on that one. But dude, you wanna know what map I miss on Call of Duty? And I wish, like, I'm not gonna lie, I'm that type of person, right? It's like I feel like I would be fine playing I will be perfectly fine playing these Call of Duty titles, right? The newer ones, if they brought back all the old maps as well. I'm talking about like every single one they've made in multiplayer, bring them all fucking back to the current ones.
Now, you see, here's the issue.
They do that shit with Nuketown. They do it with Nuketown every single fucking time. Like, dude, I just want Call of Duty 4 Crash for wintertime when they had the lights out and everything else. Dude, it was so fucking cool. Oh, I love that fucking map.
Right. I mean, of course, we lost a lot of maps over time, and it's like because you got to think it's like the reason that they can't. Like, can you imagine a playlist with like every single map in the pool? Like, you would never see half of them anyway. And then it's like, okay, I really want to play this specific map.
That's why you
never see it then either. Well, yeah, but.
Look, someone had that complaint.
Yes, you could explode.
Someone had that complaint. Someone had that complaint, and they fixed it in the new Call of Duty Black Ops, where you go back to voting.
Yeah, I do miss the voting, man. I don't know why they ever got rid of that stuff.
It's there again. They give you 2 options. Well, they give you 3 options. They give you 2 maps, and if you don't like those, then you can do random. Plus, let's be real, I'm a hardcore player in Call of Duty as well, right? Like,
and if you have that many damn maps, go ahead and instead of giving everybody like 3, like most games, give them like 6 or 9. You know what I mean? Just throw the whole thing up there and let people pick. Yeah.
Give me the maps. Just give me maps. Like that's the one thing that drove me with Call of Duty was the fact that I didn't give a
I'm not gonna lie. Think about it like this. I do feel like most, they know they can sell them later. That's the problem. It's like they know they can release new, like. Well, like they're not going to release them for free.
But that's the thing, though. Is like I don't care if they release them for free or not, right? I don't care if they charge you money for it either, because if you think about it, back then when we were playing Call of Duty majorly, like Call of Duty Modern Warfare, Modern Warfare 2, stuff like that, right? The way they drove their money or got their money was through the DLCs that they brought in maps.
Yeah, well, see, the issue is like, what What I'm saying is you're asking for every map that's ever existed, which would be ideal, right? Like, so yeah, exactly. But like, have you looked, like, do you think that they're going to go from, first off, Call of Duty specifically has gotten locked into like a yearly, pretty much a yearly subscription model, right? You got to freaking buy the new game to subscribe for the year for the new Call of Duty experience. Like, that's essentially what they've done. So there's no way in that short of a time frame they're going to actually be able to release.
I know it's never. I know it's never going to happen.
They release the new game. Like, it's just, they're not going to do it.
That's what I'm saying, right?
Asking too much. They're not that kind of a company. They're not going to make it happen.
Because that's another thing that like really kind of irritated me, right?
A game for longer, right?
And that's what kind of like irritated me, right? Is the fact that like you could be playing Black Ops, you could be buying the new cool looking skins and everything else. Because don't get me wrong, dude, I've evolved in time with gaming. Give me some skins. I fucking love them. I love when a game gives you microtransactions when it's just cosmetic, because you don't have to pay for it and it doesn't affect the game, right? Love that. What bothers me is the fact that Call of Duty, like you said, has a problem where they are shitting out games every year. And when you shit out a game every year and then also charge people for these cosmetics and you don't transfer them over to the next game,
it's bullshit. It's complete bullshit.
It's fucked up. It's like, look,
it's
like
just it's smart marketing if you're trying to milk it for all it's worth.
Right, but here's the thing though, is like, so
been doing for years, man. They've been trying to squeeze it.
But the thing is, like, so like Counter-Strike kind of started this whole thing, right? It did it even more because it's gambling, loot boxes and everything else, all that great shit. But they perfected it because Call of Duty or Counter-Strike 2 is out now, right? So it went from CS:GO to Counter-Strike 2, which, don't get me wrong, they did some great games. They did some great stuff, right, with Counter-Strike. But one of the best things they did, besides like updating the graphics and everything, every single thing in your inventory, every skin for every gun in your inventory transferred to the new fucking game.
Well, yeah, and you know why they had to do that, right? It's
because people,
here's the things that Counter-Strike,
it's like millions of dollars worth of fucking skins.
Well, it's because it's got real money transactions tied to it, and it's like there's a whole, like, they've leaned into it, like,
100%,
$1,000 freaking skins in people's inventories for over 10 freaking years,
bro.
Like, there ain't no way they would have done that. But the one thing I will say about Counter-Strike is, like, look, I can live with that because that doesn't actually deter. Like you said, they perfected it. Because here's the thing: that whole thing exists. There are people that are doing that. There are people that are loving that. There are people that are gambling like that. That's cool. There's people that are only doing that and they're not even shooting anybody. But, it does not affect the actual gameplay whatsoever. Like, no matter what you're doing on that end, that game is just, a pure FPS, a pure competitive shooter.
Yeah, 100%.
Like, it functions the same. The ballistics are right. Like, every gun is the same. It's about skill, right? And that's the problem that a lot of games have. And the issue, too, like, I want to double back. You mentioned something about cosmetics, right? Like, one of the big issues with cosmetics in games, though, is, like, I feel like Diablo 2, or not Diablo 2, Diablo 4 is a good example of that, right? It's like they end up I feel like they end up pulling their punches with the actual freaking in-game stuff and artwork and everything because they're purposely trying to appeal to the wallet, because the only cool-looking shit
it's coming out
money.
Where you have to pay for it, and it's not free.
It's real money.
I get it.
It's not. It takes away from the actual game itself.
I will say Call of Duty is doing okay with that, right? So they do have like a lot of stuff
cosmetics
that's free.
in games like that is they get too distracting. It's like I think I read the article talking about one of them now. It's like some of those freaking things are getting distracting to the point where you can't even see anybody. Like, I got this really cool flame effect, but like, where the hell is the enemy at, right? Like, I can't see it.
At the end of the day, though, that's on the person that bought it, right?
Yeah, amen to that. But I think it's actually like, because as long as it only affects the person, I think I was reading that it's starting to affect other people too, right? Because you got to think, like, if your aura is glowing wide enough and someone's trying to look past you,
I would say it could
kind of somebody else's experience too.
I don't know. I think that one is just a little bit more of just complaining, because it's like, at the end of the day, if I'm on a other team and I see this flaming ass fucking gun, it's like, oh, easy, cool. Because you got to think though too, is like, a lot of the stuff is it's an arcade shooter, right? Through and through. So at the end of the day, it's like you being stealthy.
Not hyper competitive.
It's not Call of Duty 4 anymore, right? Where like you're on Overgrown with grandma's house, but you're out in the field fucking next to the haystacks in your ghillie suit fucking sniping people every time they go into grandma's house, right?
No, it's not a grounded FPS anymore. The problem is it's becoming, people don't want it, and I think that sums it up, right? It's like the culture, right? It's like, okay, I'm glad to see like Battlefield's bringing it back to the
you got a whole bunch of kids on Adderall just fucking running around, zooming around.
Earlier. Yeah, exactly. That's what I was trying to say earlier about like people's like the younger generation's attention span. It's like that's the issue, is like they don't have the patience for an older style of game, right? Because I think like if you look at the games that I grew up with, man, it was like freaking Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, NES, OG, like punch your freaking screen aggravation shit, right? Like that's the crap that I had growing up, man. Like, it's like you got good, you dealt with it, or you just didn't play games, right? And it was like, because there was no like password saves. Oh my lord, you remember keying in a password? Did you ever have to do that shit?
Dude, I remember you having to buy dude, that's another thing, right? And this isn't even like newer people, it's also us. Imagine a console that required you to buy a separate fucking memory card nowadays. How pissed you would be.
Well, it's funny is they do that. It's just called a fucking hard drive now.
Right, but
you just
what
have
I'm
to
saying
upgrade your storage space now, right?
I'm talking about back then. They didn't have storage.
Well, no, and here's the thing about a memory card, though. In a way, I miss that shit because, well, the reason it worked though is because you had 1 or 2 memory sticks, and pretty much most of your shit would fit on there, right? Like it held a lot of stuff. The issue people have nowadays is like, but you get a memory stick for like maybe $10, right? It was like a USB stick, right? Like, you can't really do that anymore, right? Like if you want to upgrade your stuff, you're looking at decent investment on your rig, right, and stuff like that, right? No matter how you look at it.
That's the thing is like, I don't know. Like that's one of the things I have to.
Because I know that most consoles sell upgrades and stuff, but they're trying to freaking charge you an arm and a leg for it, and it's not as accessible as like an old school PS1 memory stick used to be, or PS2 memory stick used to be,
That's what I'm saying. It's like so. So yeah, it's like it was about like 11. People are saying maybe like almost $20. That's how much.
Upgraders?
No, that's how much a memory card was for.
Yeah. Back then.
For PlayStation, right?
Yeah.
But the thing is, was like, it's kind of hard, right? It's kind of hard to justify, like, well, it's kind of one of those things where it's like, if somebody's like, oh, well, this was this back then, it's like, yeah,
the reason
but it was
it
also...
can't happen now is mainly because the files are too damn big, dude.
Well,
like
the files are too big, but I'm just saying, like, I'm just talking about like price,
more.
right? It's like, yeah, a memory card was like, say, $20, and it's like, damn, I wish I could get that much out of something that was $20 nowadays. And it's like, well, then again, like, I remember around that time, dude, my mom bought a fucking 4-bedroom house with a basement and 2-story, like 3-story house, right? 2 stories in a basement, whatever you want to call it. And I looked it up before. She bought it for $80,000. Could you imagine buying a house for $80,000 now?
No, and here's the issue, and the housing market. Oh my god, but it boils down to inflation.
Yeah.
Like here's the issue with inflation is, like nothing is priced like somebody that bought a house in the 80s, right, is now. Well, I think cities do it the worst, right? Is like they'll sit there and they'll praise your home high whenever it comes to taxes, right? And they'll say, "Oh yeah, no, your house is worth freaking $300,000-$400,000. Hell yeah, you owe us X amount of money based on that number." But then whenever you go to sell that same freaking house, they'll send somebody in there that'll freaking be like, "Well, and this is wrong, and this is wrong, and this is wrong, and this is wrong. So based on this, our evaluation of your house is only X amount, right?" And it's like, so it's a skewed system. That's leaned, the house always wins in a way, right? Like it's rigged from the start, in that regard, because it's about extracting money, right? Like that is the function, right?
Yeah, and then now look at it. It kind of goes down to this too. It's like, look at how expensive like PlayStation 1s and stuff are nowadays. It's like,
but inflation always goes up. The issue with like the price and all that, I'm not saying all that. What it is marketing though, right? It's the proprietary stuff. The issue is that, you know, nobody is allowed to make like modularized stuff, which, you know, is happening more and more. Where like you could like, because honestly, consoles are pretty much computers nowadays. Why couldn't you hook up an external hard drive to a USB port on your fucking Xbox and just download your shit and move it and store it there if you need to, right?
You can.
And call it a day. Well, there you go. And that's why you don't need the memory sticks and stuff anymore, right?
Well, yeah.
So it's like those options still do exist
It's
because,
like,
you know, you can get a freaking
nowadays,
portable hard
like, I
drive
can
fairly
go,
affordable now, you know, for about the equivalent of $20 back then,
dude,
right? You know what I mean?
Dude, I'm pretty sure, honestly, you could, like, with, like, my home server, right? I'm pretty sure there's a way to be able to even hook up your fucking Xbox, PlayStation 5, all that shit to your home server and just save games on that.
Oh yeah, see, so I mean, like, you know, technology has expanded to the point where it is obsolete technology, but I guess so my point, you know, point's kind of moot there, but, you know, I mean, it's functional, you know, and that's the thing too. Let's talk about, you know, well, I feel like we're digressing from the topic of FPS this week, but
but it's just, well, it just goes back down to, like I said, like, it just comes full circle of just, like, you know, how Call of Duty has changed over the years, right? And then the addition to, like, when they had Blackout, right, and it flopped, so they figured out what Black Ops did wrong, they adjusted it and came out with Warzone. And that's, dude, I can't do fucking battle royales anymore. Like,
here's the thing, right? Like, Blackout, wasn't that the Tarkov-like that they tried to come out with?
Blackout was
which one was Blackout?
Dude, Blackout was the original Warzone. It came out during one game, and it failed because people were still playing Fortnite, PUBG, and everything else, right?
Yeah,
and
I mean, they were a battle royal.
Yeah, Blackout didn't hit the mark, and they learned from what failed and what was good about Black Ops.
Oh,
and then the next game they dropped Warzone.
Yeah.
And Warzone it went crazy.
Yeah, I mean, you know, everybody loved it. I mean, it's because, you know, it captured, it gave, like, you know, man, let's talk about battle royals. But yeah, PUBG, that came out of, like, I don't know, it came out of nowhere. You remember whenever that first came out?
It was amazing. It was.
I had fun with it.
It was amazing. Yeah. I enjoyed it up to the point where it comes down to, like, most games, right? Like, I loved it, but it was also, we were playing it hard with a whole bunch of friends, and then all our friends decided to go to a less buggy one and started playing fucking what is it, Fortnite, and I couldn't fucking do it, dude. I remember, dude,
God, I just can't.
So Fortnite like fucked me up because it was third person, like because you gotta think, and, like, honestly, like, remember, right, when Fortnite first dropped, it wasn't crazy building. Like, no one built the way that they did a year later, where when the game first dropped, all we did was make ramps and hide on a ramp. And then all of a sudden, like, I stopped playing it, and then I just started people, like, blowing up on it and everything else, and, like, dude, they're fucking 40-story fucking buildings in, like, a second. I'm like, no. It's like, my attention span is not that fucking fast to be able to just, like,
no, not even the attention span. It's like the spirit's willing, but the flesh is weak. My poor hands cannot move that fast. Like, my brain does not function that quick, right? Like, it's not. There's a disconnect, man. Like, seeing it's impressive, but at that point, you're not even playing an FPS, right? You're playing hide and seek, Extreme Edition, like, right?
Yeah.
But yeah. It's a whole different kind of shooter, you know. Like, I respect the skill it takes, but it's not my kind of game. Yeah,
it's just, it's crazy. And then Fortnite boomed up and just went crazy. Then, you know, battle royales just started coming. Everything had to have a battle royale.
Oh, that's the problem now. Is, like, anymore, it's just I'm tired of playing them. Like, they've just gotten old for me, but, you know, they still remain very, very popular. A lot of people, right? So,
I don't know. I guess. I don't see it.
People still play.
They still
hell
play
out
them
of
because there's really. I feel like there's just nothing else out there. Like
no, there's plenty of other options out there. It's just there's nothing like it's a genre in its own, right? Like it's kind of like milsim versus a freaking arcade shooter, versus a battle royal, right? Like now it's a new thing. So like people that are playing battle royals like that, I feel like don't necessarily want to play a milsim,
See, and I guess that's another thing is like the problem with battle royales though too, right? Is just it's one of the heaviest genres, or I would say one of the heaviest genres of just rampant cheating, like fucking just hackers and everything else. I'm good. Like just watching like videos of like people just blatantly, and I would say Call of Duty fucked this one up themselves too, because they decided to give Warzone free to play, right? So anybody can go play Warzone for free. They don't need anything because it's a free to play shit. And
right, but I think they're hoping people are gonna spend money on cosmetics and stuff, right?
Well, yes, which they do, right? Of course.
And season passes and everything.
The battle pass and everything else. But then there's the whole thing of this, right? I'm gonna go buy some cheats from a cheating vendor. I'm gonna install those. I'm gonna go have fun just fucking on people, even though it takes no skill, just because I want to ruin people's day and I hate life. And oh shit, I got banned. What should I do? Oh duh, let's just create another fucking email account because those are free too. And then just just sign up for an Activision fucking account with that one, and there we go. It's like when it comes to especially like shooters and stuff, I feel like companies need to be more strict. Like it's kind of like like just like my knowledge in like cybersecurity and everything, right? It's like your shit's never gonna be 100% safe if a hacker wants to get into it. It just is what it is,
somebody's
right?
determined. It's just most people fly under the radar.
Yeah,
you don't want to be a target.
Right,
that's the problem.
And the problem though too, right, is that like hackers and people like that, right? The sad part is like they are faster at adapting than you can with security. Why? You have to get shit approved. You have to do all this, right? Like there's a lot of steps that you have to take. Same with anti-cheats, right? You cannot protect something from something you don't know at all. And what these people are doing is they're looking at you exactly because it comes down to this, right? You release the game with a basic, like let's just say like
at the code and exploiting it. They have infinite time to figure out what they need to do to break it, right?
And they break it, right? And then all of a sudden it's like, okay, well now we broke it and we can get you undetected in this. And then all of a sudden they finally push up a new easy anti-cheat update. Well, that's cool because guess what? We know how to break that one. And it's like by the time you get to the point where it's like you can stop the original, they are already like 2 more ahead of you. So they're just always fucking working. And also, it's a $1 billion industry. That's the sad part. Like hacking, the hacking industry for video games is $1 billion industry. They make a lot of fucking money. And my biggest thing is like, look, we've seen that, like, we get it. You're creating these anti-cheats and everything else. It's just, it's not working. And it's no fault to you. Unless you have a whole fucking subdivision on making anti-cheats, you're fucked. So what else can you do? You can IP ban them. You can hardware ban.
I mean, it's always going to be an uphill, hardware ban.
Because it's like, and here's the thing. You want to know how crazy it is in Korea to make accounts for video games?
What do you mean?
So in Korea, right? Korea, you have for like a while, right? Like in Korea, you have your own identification number, right?
Okay, just like a social security number, kind of for us, right?
In a sense, right? But it's like it's not tied to the fact that like, oh, I want to get a car or something like that, if that makes sense, right? Like it can't be, if someone gets their identification number, it can't fuck you like a social security number can, right?
So it's just it's a social security number, like, but it's not connected to any of your, like, it's not your identity.
Yeah, so it is your, so like think of your identification number in Korea as in your driver's license number, but for the whole country. It's your country number. That makes sense. So like it's kind of like how like if I got your driver's license number, I can't do damage to you. I can't open up a bank account or anything like that, if that makes sense.
Well, no, but I do feel like data mining. I mean, I don't know. I am just inferring, but I feel like you could do a lot with that information.
Not
if,
really.
You know,
A driver's license. It's one of the things that we.
Oh, you at the very least can't, like, because you got to think, man, that shit's on public record anyway, right? Like, you could freaking look that up, and if somebody's trying to, I mean, it just depends on what you're going to do. But if someone's trying to target your identity. No. Sometimes all they need is a freaking thread to pull. They find your, that number. Like, they find you. Like, they start digging deeper. They get your shit, right?
Well, but I was saying, like the driver's license itself is not going to do harm to you.
No, not directly. I'm just saying.
That's what I'm getting at.
At the same time, it's like, okay, so what is the purpose of having that number then? What does it do? If
that
because it's not tied to anything that can hurt you,
number only ties. So the only thing that number ties you to, right, is for driving violations.
So it's literally
it shows that you are a resident in that state. So like when you want to do like if I want to like go hunting and I needed I need to utilize and I want a hunting registration number, I have to have a valid driver's license from the state of Colorado to get my residency stuff, right? It has more stuff to do with state
level.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
so what you're saying is just federally operated, right?
Yes. And
pretty much.
So for Korea. So but the thing is though too is it's also tied to your video game accounts. It's kind of like a digital signature, right? It verifies like, yes, this is me. I only have one number. This is the only number I ever have. I can never go get a new one.
Yeah, see, that does create a whole slew of implications, though. That I don't know.
So the thing is that what they do is, if you're caught banning or if you're caught cheating and everything else, they ban your identification number.
I feel like that is an extreme measure for a thing. Because like, here's the issue, right? It's like,
why?
Because, okay, well, let's talk about like the privacy violations of having like your freaking entire national identity and all that shit. Like you ever heard about imagine you ever been banned accidentally from a freaking game before?
No.
All right, now let's just imagine you've never had any issues or anything. You've never been false flagged.
I've not been false flagged in any fucking game.
Honestly, I don't think I have either, but I guarantee you it's happened before, right? Like it's shit like that's occurred. But like, here's the thing, right? Like sometimes the government doesn't need to fucking know all that bullshit. Like why tie? Okay, so it's like, okay, you go to sign up for a fucking video game you paid for, right? All right, so now because I got to sign up for this fucking account through EA now is tied to my fucking goddamn, my national identity and my, I just, I don't know, man. It's just
that's the difference, though.
And that's also assuming that the government's going to manage it properly, because if history has told us one thing,
that's the American in you.
Security violation. No, that's the security. Look, the security, right? We're talking about the vulnerabilities.
Because I told you, this identification has nothing to do, in a sense. It is literally just a digital signature.
It is still tied to your driving record. You said it was nationally. You just said it was tied to your driving stuff, right? So if somebody has access to it, they could. No. You
have your own driver's license. In Korea, you get a driver's license. It's not the same number.
I get what I'm saying. It monitors your citizenship. It
is your digital signature. It is.
Well, that's the gaming part of it, right?
What I'm getting at though is that
here, like they have digital security things like that now too.
So here's the thing. Okay, so it's kind of like you are thinking of it too much like a social security number, where if I get your social security number, I have your full name and shit like that, I can go ham on fucking applying for credit cards and shit like that.
You access that database, all right? You access the database with this number. You said that it's there to monitor your citizenship, right? Doesn't that sound like it's an important thing? If somebody has access to that number, you're like, if it's tied to that, couldn't they fuck with your citizenship?
So the thing is that you're thinking about it as a social security. It's not.
What does it do?
It literally is a digital signature stating that you are a human being and a Korean resident in Korea. That is all it is. It is when you're born, you are given a number.
Okay, so what reasons would somebody need to prove that they are a Korean resident who was born in Korea? Or, citizen who was born in Korea? Because I feel like people could exploit that for anything that would require that information, just like any other piece of information in any other country.
But here's
right?
the thing, though, is that it does not, like, at the end of the day, right? Like, this is just like one little part. Like, there's multiple parts into like the Korean, because like it doesn't just go off of like your identification. It goes off of your cell phone number. Because okay, there you go, easy, right? So like there are ways. There's also people that sell them for games and everything else. So like let's see, like, so when Throne and Liberty, right? When Throne and Liberty launched, it first launched a year in advance in Korea, right? And the only way to play that is being a Korean resident. And by doing that, you had to put in your Korean residency number and have a valid Korean SIM card, right? Which is your cell phone, of course, right? But there are services that you could do, is you can buy those accounts to do it, because there's also people that sell that stuff to make money for games, right? So it's like, if I was a Korean, I could just be like, yeah, here's my stuff, I just set this up, and there you go. It's the same way I did with Katusas, right? Like, one of the Katusas never played World of Warcraft, and they let me utilize, because in Korea you need all that information to be able to play a video game. And he fucking created an account with his information and everything else for me, and I played in Korea servers. It comes down to, once again, like, when it comes to stuff like that, you also got to think that Korea is very, and like just regular Asia and stuff, right?
Esports are a part of the national culture over there. That's why they take it so seriously.
Exactly, right? And it's a different culture. It's also
like StarCraft. StarCraft has been a big thing in Korea.
Oh, yeah.
Freaking still
League of
today.
Legends.
Like, that is like Counter-Strike. Oh, you know what I mean? Like, as popular as fucking Counter-Strike in Korea. 100%. Like, dude, they take that shit. Like, StarCraft 2, some of the best players come from there, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's not really much big anymore, just because it's just a dead game. But
is it? Yeah.
Yeah,
See, I remember it was very popular.
No, it was. It was so popular that legitimately Blizzard's StarCraft division was in Korea.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
that's cool.
StarCraft was created by the by the Korean division.
Oh, nice. Well, that makes sense. Now it all makes sense.
Now it's League of Legends, dude. They fucking destroy in League of Legends.
I believe that. Yeah.
But okay, so that's another thing, right? So they also, it seems like, so that was also back in 2010, right? When I was playing games in Korea in 2010. So that was what, 15 years ago? So nowadays you need a Korean IPIN or a Korean phone number to create accounts, right?
Okay. Well, I mean, yeah, it makes sense. It's kind of like
IPIN is a commercial. Okay, so there you go. So that's what it is, right? You need a Korean IPIN. IPIN is a commercial alternative to the resident registration number used in South Korea for online identification only. So they give you an IPIN, an online identification that is an alternative to your residence registration number.
So it's pretty much just an encryption is what it is, though, right?
Yeah.
So it's not,
so
okay,
it's,
so it's just
it's
an
tied,
end-to-end
that's what I'm saying, is like, it's tied to you.
Okay. Now I understand what you're talking about, though, but that number, though, like, based on what you were talking about, and if that number does exist, that is still a thing. You know, that does pretty much function like your social security number in that way, right?
But it also, that's the thing, it doesn't really,
like it's kind of like CAC in a way, right? It's just another authentication.
It's an authentication of proving that is you. Yes.
Yeah.
But you can't go and sign up for a credit card with your IPIN.
No, but you know, you can do a lot of other things with your free. That the IPIN is, like you said, the digital aspect of it. You were talking about a national identification number. That is the social security number that I was talking about, right?
So resident registration number here. A Korean resident registration number is a 13-digit number that identifies South Korean residents. It also known as a what is it? So the first 6 digits are the individual's birth date. The first number of the dash indicates the individual's gender, citizenship, and century of birth. The next 2 numbers indicate the regional government where a Korean national was born or the agency where an international resident was registered. The RN is used to link to government databases, which allows officials to compile personal information and perform data matching. And that's all it is. It is to prove that you are this person. You can, like I said, like it's
all right, fair enough. Based on the way that sounds, like, you know, like I said, there are implications. Like, let me put you like this: is it good for gaming security?
Yes.
100%. Is it necessarily the best thing to do to take care of hacking and gaming?
I would say 100%.
Probably not.
I would say 100% in a way. Why?
No. Something similar maybe, but like there's no way to have that be completely excluded whenever these companies operate internationally. Because they operate internationally, it would have to be a centralized database globally of information.
That's not true.
It is true.
No, you know why it's not true?
Or every country would have to agree to it.
You know why it's not true?
Right?
You know why?
And create their own.
You know why it's true? It's not true, and I'm gonna prove you wrong right here. The reason why Korea can do it is because you cannot access Korean servers outside of Korea unless you have that and are on Korean VPN. Korean servers are just like Japanese servers. They are locked the fuck down.
Fair if you're playing locally. China. Like if you're playing region, if they can region lock it, and that's fair, yeah. So if you're only playing there, then it's
which
safe,
it is.
Right?
It is completely, unless you have a VPN and an account, which you need an IPIN to show that you're a registered person, right? Or you pay money and buy accounts off people. You cannot play on their servers.
Yeah,
and North America, like, don't get me wrong, that's Korea.
It's because it's literally linked into like their, national identity.
And that's what I was saying is that's why I'm saying is it is 100% feasible to the point where it's like you can negate fucking hacking all the time with that, because they also have a very fucking harsh penalty where if that account is hacked, you can't make another fucking account if you get caught hacking. Why?
Yeah,
because there's one already tied to your IPIN and was banned. You can't use your IPIN anymore. Your IPIN's banned from that game. Now, like I said, will that ever happen? Everything else? No, it's not gonna fucking happen. We're gonna continue playing this whole fucking round and round and round with fucking hacking and non-hacking. But
I mean, it's an interesting way of handling the problem, and and it's definitely working for South Korea, right? But yeah, like I feel like it gets a little more complicated. Like if you look at it from our perspective,
I could do it. I could build one. It'd be easy.
No, you could do it. But the thing is acceptance, right? Like on a national level, they accepted that. You couldn't just fucking do that here if you don't have support and people don't want to do it, right? They have to buy into it, right?
I'm gonna drop before we get off. I'm gonna drop it with this bomb. So you're saying if you don't have support, you can't do it?
No, what I'm saying is on that, look, what I'm saying is, how are you going to force people? Like, okay, if you come into some country, all right, and you say, hey, everybody, we're going to fucking make you now. Like, did you see what they did whenever people tried to link their PSN accounts to fucking PC?
Yeah, no, I get it.
That shit's going to fly whenever it's like, link your fucking social security number to your gaming account. And if anything goes wrong, technically, you lose access to everything. Like, dude, that ain't gonna fly, man.
It's not gonna.
People are not gonna trust anybody to do it properly, right? Like, it's too much.
No, I get what you're saying, but it is very easy. Because at the end of the day, if it gets pitched to the right people, they don't give a fuck who it pisses off. It could happen.
Dude, like, how is that good for the industry?
It's always, it's not
I would
good
stop
for
playing games altogether. Like, that shit's just stupid, dude. Like, gaming is supposed to be separate from reality. The issue with games today is too much reality tries to feed into the fucking games, bro. Like, if we're gonna do this shit, dude, then I'll tell you what. If you want to freaking, if they're gonna sit there and they're gonna take this far, how about you just give me my virtual reality headset, hook.
And he cut out. Terry.
Yo.
You just cut out. But,
oh, what did I cut out on?
You were just saying hook yourself up into a virtual reality.
I was saying, yeah, if they're gonna freaking link it that much to reality, dude, and if they're gonna try to fucking make games that real, then they need to just fucking go ahead and do us like they did in, what is it, you know, Doctor Who and all the other freaking sci-fi shit, and just, you know, say, fuck this planet, all right? Hook everybody up to a tube, a virtual reality machine, beam us up, Scotty, let's Matrix this shit. Because, like, you know, like, fuck it, all or nothing, right? Like, if you want to do it, do it. Like, this is just silly. Like, I just think it's, like, I play games to escape reality, right? I think a lot of people try to do that, right? Like, and it's getting to the point where it's getting harder and harder to do that when you turn around, right? Like, every time a game releases and shit, like, nothing is sacred anymore, right? It's all an amalgam of fuckery, right?
Yeah, it's also because the fact is, at the end of the day, what drives those companies is real day-to-day. Because at the end of the day,
well, what used to drive the companies, hey, you know what? People used to make games to fucking make a game, like to make something people are gonna have fun with. Like, I don't know why the hell people are making games nowadays. They're trying to make games to fucking make a statement, send a message. Like, the thing is, paint a picture, write a book, fucking do something else if you want to express yourself. Like, why are you making a game?
Is, like, that's exactly. See, you think that, but if you go into looking in interviews, right? And like, I'll leave it at this because we're over an hour. If you go look at older interviews on why people made games back then, it was to bring out what they felt. So, like, you know, their story, their book, their movie, into a game, into a reality that people can play in. So, in a sense, it still did exactly what they're doing. The biggest problem, though, nowadays, right, is the fact that it's money. You need money to make a game, or you need money to maintain a game. And at the end of the day, you have some indie, you got an indie player, right? You have an indie.
Been taken over by big.
But the thing is, that's not. I wouldn't say taking over.
They've locked it down over the years, right? It's no longer like Pong, for example, right? It used to be also about revolutionizing the industry, okay? Because the guy who made Pong wasn't doing it to send a fucking message. He wasn't doing it to make his. He just, first off, that was military tech, I think. But either way, I digress.
It was military tech.
Yeah, it just progressed though, right? People were just doing it because they could, in a way, right? But like, you know, yeah, at a certain point, people were telling a story, people were doing whatever.
But also,
like, here's the thing too: is like, if people don't buy your stuff,
people make it to make money,
and that's on you too, though,
right? They did that back then, like. Back then they did the same thing. They made something that they could let other people enjoy, but also so that they could make money. Because at the end of the day, no matter what, it's still going to be, you know what I mean? Like, it's still going to be about money.
They expect you to do it for free.
It's kind of like,
still costs, you know, you still need money to live, unfortunately. You know?
Yeah, and then that's the thing, right? Is that it's because there are games that revolutionize. We talked about one. Look at what revolutionized a whole new genre.
I'm saying what separates a developer. Here's the thing. What I'm saying is what separates a developer from a publisher, right? I think this summarizes what I'm talking about, right? What is the developer's goal when he makes a game?
To develop the game that they want.
Yeah, to do those things that you're talking about, right? And the problem with the industry and the issue that we're having today, and what I mean whenever I'm saying like it's been locked down, right? They perfected it, as you say, over the years. It's no longer, you know, the wild, wild west of the industry. It's like you can't go anywhere or do anything, or it's hard to do a startup anywhere nowadays, right? If you look at how like the tech industry did that, right? You know, garage businesses and stuff, like it worked. If somebody tried to start a business in their fucking garage today, doing the exact same shit that they did back in those days, they would get squashed by the competition, the bigger freaking people that have already locked the industry down. You get what I'm saying?
Wait. Here's the thing, though, is that they're not getting squashed.
They're creating barriers.
But what I'm saying, though, is they're not getting squashed. And you got to think about this too, right? Is the fact this. So it
but
also
the publisher
comes
is in it for the money. That's what to finish my thought.
Yeah, so like here's the thing, right? Going back to the whole garage thing, someone can literally make something in the garage, because we've seen it in the gaming industry and everything else. They make a game at home and everything else, right? But at the end of the day, you could be like, oh, I really want to create this and everything else, but this will take me 20 years. But I'm going to show a little snippet of like what I'm making and everything else. Oh, and it just got traction of a fucking AAA company. And the company's like, hey, I'll buy that idea and that game off of you for, let's say, $20 million. Are you really going to say fucking, are you going to say no?
Well, I mean, it depends. No. You know, it's like, and here's the thing. No. Of course not. I'm not going to.
That's what I'm saying.
Because I'm practical.
No one is going to drop. No one's
but
going to.
But it's the same kind of shit.
Say no
like,
to $20 million.
I mean, hell no. It's like depending on how passionate you are about the project, right? Because
also,
that's the kicker, right?
Here's the thing, though, is like I've sat down for hours.
If that's your baby, you're not gonna sell it for $25 million. I don't care who you are, right? Because you think it's gonna be worth more someday, right? You're gonna, dude. If you are making a fucking game that you truly believe in, that you really think is gonna succeed, that's gonna be the next fucking Call of Duty or some shit, right? I mean, I don't know. Like, I feel like there are plenty of people out there that would not take the money. I'm not saying I'm one of them. Fuck no. I'm just saying there are plenty of people that have that kind of a conviction in their work that would see it through, right?
Okay, so you're taking like face value, and I'm just throwing out a like simple term, right? No one's gonna just sell a unfinished game and whatever that they're building for like $25 million and that's it. Like, you're going to like, oh yeah, I will sell you the rights to the game. I want to be part of the producing the game, so I can tell you yes or no, because it is my creative idea, and you don't know where I'm going for, right?
Creative control you retain.
Yeah, exactly. So like, of course you have to get lawyers involved and everything else, but that's at the end of the day, that's what I'm getting at, right? Is that some bigger investor comes in and is willing to give you shit, you're gonna fucking do it, because
you need money no matter what.
Exactly.
You need a source.
And that's what I was getting at, right?
Or whether it's something,
and
or
the
whether
thing is, is like at the end of the day,
on your own, because you can make games too. A lot of indie devs make good money just coding in their free time. Like, it's not impossible.
But it's also very simple. Like, a lot of them are very simplistic. Like, I will give Unreal Engine 5 something where it's like,
but once again, just because it's older or simple doesn't mean it's bad.
Well, no, it's not. It's just that I don't care for those games, right? I'm not a big fucking indie fan. Never have. But I know a buddy who I just worked with in my last job. All he did was play indie games. He did not touch triple alpha games at all.
Man, like, speaking of indie games, just real quick, I got to throw out, like, I'm not gonna lie, if you've never played Undertale, man, I think that, you know, I'm pretty sure that's a prime example. I think it was made by, you know, I could be mistaken, but I'm pretty sure, you know, that was an indie game the guy just made on his own. And it had to be simple. It had to do a certain thing, right? It was created in a certain art style. But damn, if that's not one of the best games I've ever played in my life. You get what I mean? Like, that is an amazing game.
But it's also, that's the thing though too, right? Is that I'm looking at the style of the game and everything else. That is something doable by one dev. You can create that. It's kind of like how, like, you know, people are out there making like the old school Pokemon games their own, right? Because there's a whole fucking program for it where you can just make your own map, make your own encounters, your own stuff, right? And that's the thing,
it's
right?
Just like a game engine. You can get any game engine. You can throw some, you know, do whatever you want with it.
And that's what I'm saying is, like, when it comes down to it, you need to know less coding when it comes to those type of games compared to, like, of course, like, you get into Unreal Engine 5 coding, like, yes, there's a lot of assets and everything else, but you still need to know basic understandings. And that's, of course, what a dev's going to do in gaming industry in the first place, right?
But yeah, absolutely. I mean, like you said, it's knowledge. Like,
exactly. But it's also a lot of these games, it makes sense if it's like, oh, you can tell, like, majority of the time, right? Not all the time, but the majority of the time you can tell if a game was published, or not published, but created by like a single dev, a handful of devs, and then a fucking team of devs, right? It's kind of like what is it, fucking, we used to fucking play it. It was a shooter, going back on the shooter things. Oh shoot, the one where like we couldn't even prone, and they finally added proning. You know what I'm talking about?
No, you talking about Ground Branch?
Was it Ground Branch or was it the other one?
I'm gonna say because Ground Branch hasn't had proning for a while, but they did just recently add it. The only one I can think of.
Remember, it's the one that like I was a sniper and you were whatever, and I was trying to prone on the rock on the airfield and couldn't prone.
Yeah, that was Ground Branch.
There you go. So Ground Branch, right? You can tell that game. Two things. You could tell that game got a lot of money when they first released it in early access, because of their developing has slowed the fuck down. And it has. And you also could tell with the slowing down, they are also a small team, right? Which it is.
Yeah.
But also that's the problem, right? It's like that's another problem that we have, but we'll go on to that next time. So just remember the whole like.
Oh yeah, we can do a part 2. FPS is a big genre. We'll just we're gonna put a pin in Ground Branch.
But I think that's good. I think an hour and 15 minutes is good. Like we said, like next time we'll just do a part 2 of it and people can hear about it and everything else. And all I can say is I appreciate anybody that comes in and watches us just rant about stuff and getting off topic like we always do, because you know that's just how our brains work.
I warned you before we started this that was gonna happen.
But yeah, make sure to, if you're watching on YouTube, thumbs up. That allows us to get into the algorithm and reach more people, and then also subscribe for more content. I will say that our community, so the Discord, you can join it too. Join the Discord. Our community is going to start doing D&D, which will be on a separate podcast as well. But just want to say thank you for coming and visiting, and leave comments or whatever if you have questions.
Yep, absolutely. Thanks for stopping by. We'll see you next time.
Alrighty.